Welcome
to Film Ships.
The podcast is nice.
It's nice.
That's it.
14 years ago, I released a movie film which brought great shame to Kazakhstan. But now I was instructed to return to Yankee Land to carry out secret mission.
I go to America!
Hi, everybody. On this episode of Film Shapes, we're going to talk about Borat Subsequent Moviefilm. Joining me today, Roly.
Hello.
And Bryony.
Hi.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Thanks.
Great. So, now, this is the sequel to, let me get this, to Borat Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan from 2006. It stars Sacha Baron Cohen again as Borat and Maria Bakalova as Borat's daughter. What was her name? Tutor or something like this? Tutor?
Oh, I should have
Something
written this down. It's been a while.
Yeah, and it's directed by a guy called Jason Walliner. I think he's in TV comedy. I don't know much about this fella. Guys, what did you think?
I mean, it's a Sacha Baron Cohen film, isn't it? It was funny in part, and it was uncomfortable in part.
Yeah.
And but I kind of enjoyed watching it. It was good.
Yeah.
But it's also fake news.
Oh, well, how do you mean?
Well, we can get into that.
Okay.
What did you think of it?
Oh, well, when you say it's a Sacha Baron Cohen film, you're thinking that everything's going to be the same from him? Is that what you mean?
A little bit. I think we know what to expect. You're going to be challenged on, on kind of grossness in a way.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Quality-wise, I reckon he's up and down a lot. Like, Ali G film was pretty bad. The TV show I liked a lot.
Yeah.
The first Borat was, I think, great. This one's pretty good, but the Grimsby film he made was damn awful.
And there was the Bruno stuff as well.
Bruno's good too, yeah. I mean, so he's up and down, I think, hit and miss.
I would agree with you there.
How would you rate The Dictator as well?
I forgot about that one. Yeah, just below average, I'd imagine. Yes. What do you think of this one, Bryony?
I think Rolly's assessment is pretty close to how I felt about it. I laughed out loud, often. I squirmed.
Yes.
Often. And I did find myself being slightly horrified, and then I would try and sort of make myself feel a little bit better by going, oh, but maybe it's not terribly real, and these people are plants, and that's where, I'm sure Rolly will get into that a bit later as well, but the whole fake news kind of side of things, like what's real, what's not.
So you imagine most people were plants? Is that what you guys are thinking?
No. I think the problem with a film like this, and this film in particular, is that I spend most of my time thinking about how the film was made rather than watching the film. And I'm questioning what's real and what's not real. I guess that's part of the idea, that you're supposed to be doing that, but I think it raised too many questions while I was watching it to be a completely enjoyable experience.
I guess it's harder to do that now, being the second one, isn't it? Like I didn't do that so much during the first one.
Well, this is why he's got the female actor involved as his daughter, and I think she did a great job. But, I mean, he does address that in the film.
Yeah. Now, also, it was released on Amazon Prime Video here in Australia, probably everywhere, I guess, to coincide with the run-up to this coming election in the States. The last one was in the cinemas, so this one, he wanted to put it out. I think Universal had the chance to put it out, but there was some wranglings with some other companies and things. So they offered him the chance to shop it around to streams. And because he wanted it out quick, smart, to get out before this election, he did that. I don't know. Is that he's a bit of a curler. Is it important to get it out before the election?
Well, the obvious reason why he wanted to get it out before the election, I guess, was to, actually, I'm questioning it now. Do you think he's trying to influence people to his political viewpoint? I mean, we're all aware of his political viewpoint, his left leanings, but I didn't feel the film was, at the end of the day, I think it was not that much of a negative against the other side in some ways. On second glance. On first glance, yes. On second glance, maybe no.
I mean, I'm suggesting that maybe there was no point in doing this because they never really affect elections anyway. People who are watching this, who want to watch this, are his fans anyway, surely. There's not going to be many people who are Trumpies and go, oh, you know what? Now I've changed my mind because of watching this film.
What about the people that were in it and their friends?
They'll be they'll still be voting the way they wanted to vote before this, I'd reckon. No? Bryony?
Oh,
it's time for Bryony.
I'm not sure about whether it would or wouldn't change anyone's political persuasions or how they might vote. As to like why it was important to get it out before the election, I kind of think more importantly, it's like, well, when will it be safe to get it out? Like, America's a mess when it comes to COVID. When is it going to be considered safe to go to the cinema? Like, so if you're going to put it out, you may as well put it out on stream, and you may as well put it out before the election because, you know, it is a commentary on some of the sort of
it's true.
More radical leaning.
Well, let's look at it the other way for a second as well. What would be the result of bringing this film out after the election? It would kind of feel quite out of date.
Yeah, maybe no traction as well. So I don't know if it's a political choice or a kind of business choice, really.
I feel like it's more of a business choice.
If I'm not mistaken, I think New York, LA and San Francisco are the biggest 3 cinema-going cities or regions, and they're still all shut, right? Do you know anything about this? So most people are not releasing films now. I mean, I had a look, just doing research for another blog thing, had a look at the top 10 box office films for this year. Only one of those has been released since March. Can you guess?
No.
What was that? That last one we saw?
Yes.
Tenet.
Yeah, that's it. But good. Yeah, I like how you said that backwards as well.
Yeah.
Meaning all the others were released like January, February, and just early March. So nothing's been released. So they're not. Yeah, there is no. Firstly, they're not going to release it at the cinemas because no one's going to see it except in safer countries.
Yeah.
So he had to stream it, and I suppose if you can stream it just before the election,
it
get
makes
a lot
sense.
of press.
It makes sense. Okay.
It feels less current afterwards, and so commentary on Trump rallies isn't quite as funny after the election.
Yeah,
either.
true. Yeah,
it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's blood on the streets, for real, I think it's going to be much less funny. But
right.
Yeah. Speaking of blood.
Oh.
Nice transition.
Good segue.
Look, that was one of my, as uncomfortable as it was to watch, and I know Bryony's probably got some things to say about that segment of the film, but the what is that called? The Debutante's Ball.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's where he's looking. He really does know how to focus in and somehow organise. Like you're just sort of thinking, how does he organise to get in there and then have the cameras there and get these kind of reactions? How real can it be? Are all these? And there's obviously moments that are real, but you're always looking who else is in on the joke. And yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit more about that scene if you want to, Bryony. If you don't, then I completely understand as well.
Oh, well, this was one of those instances where, the transition between like laughing hysterically, being utterly horrified, and then just feeling really uncomfortable all flows quite close one after the other. Yeah, in terms of his whispered comment to one of the fathers. And and then his daughter's sort of reaction, and then...
with her moon blood and stuff. And then...
with the dance itself.
Oh.
So I feel like, yeah, like the commentary on the ball itself and the idea of like, you know, these young women or teenagers coming into the world, like the whole point
That's
of a
a
debutante.
fucking weird thing anyway, isn't it?
Which I think is his commentary. Like
sure. Yeah.
And then, you know, when he does make that comment to one of the fathers about...
what was it again?
I don't want to
we can spoil a little.
That's okay.
Like how much would you pay for my daughter? And the guy actually answers
$500.
Yeah.
And then his daughter is just like, oh my God, that's
fucking thick.
Gross.
Yeah.
Like,
which is a perfectly normal reaction, you know, from a teenager in that situation.
So that sort of felt quite genius in that moment. But then I just felt like the whole dance was a bit unnecessary. And I'm not quite sure if he was trying to make a point or just make everyone uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't really...
You probably didn't need to. But...
Does it come across as a bit of a kind of a weird guy's attempt at humour as well? Like rather than, you know, it's not really that sympathetic to a women's point of view, is it? I can't see how it is. I'm not sure. But that's one critique I've heard of that scene is it's just like it's a period joke. It's not actually – it's a period joke being made by a guy.
Yeah, and that's how it comes across. Like, it's just, that's why I feel like it was just a bit unnecessary. Like, he's not really poking fun at any particular culture or attitude or anything. He's just making fun of women on their rags.
It might be the last taboo, right, maybe? Do you think? I mean, I've never seen... I think probably there have been little hints of things like that, but that's... pretty in your face, isn't it? I mean, the dance itself was...
Yeah, I just felt like he wanted to make everyone there uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it actually didn't... Some of the other things he did, like the little comments and things that he'd whispered to people, I think highlighted the problematic nature of the whole tradition in itself, whereas that just seemed to be designed purely to shock and horrify.
But I guess he's done... like naked wrestling. He's done sort of there was that gay kiss in Bruno in the wrestle ring where the crowd were going nuts because they were, you know, right wingers and stuff. I think in Grimsby he went up an elephant's ass or into the womb of an elephant or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so that's where it just gets a bit jackass. But whereas the wrestling kiss or the cage fight kiss was kind of obviously tackling homophobia in
Sure, but what I guess I'm cack-handedly trying to say is he's looking to tick off taboos in cinema and in pop culture, I guess, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't done this. Oh, let's do a period thing.
I suppose you could
maybe
look at it that I hadn't really considered it from that point of view because I like some of the other kind of observations about people that some of these setups make. So I'd kind of thought about it in that context, whereas I just felt like this didn't make a particularly helpful observation, but I hadn't really considered.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to be broad and kind of, you know, clever at the same time in the same film.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
You got to do it. I mean, but, you know, I think when he does write comedy, you know, I can warm to some of those ideas. Like, I didn't mind the little thing with where she took the little baby off the cupcake and then the baby was inside her. Right. And that became the kind of... the kind of premise for this whole conversation with the anti-abortion guy. And like that, I quite like his setups. And what else did he do? What the writing wise, there was something else I've lost a bit. Oh, sorry, we won't give it away maybe, but you know, the whole twist at the end with COVID and everything.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that was something that, you know, I appreciated those little things, but it's always an uncomfortable mix, isn't it? Fiction with documentary, fiction and fact, and trying to discern the two. Where does the line end? But in that process, I thought there were some interesting things where he kind of, I feel like he's a bit more lenient on the right side of politics in a way in this film.
Cohen or Borat?
Cohen.
Oh, okay.
So,
because clearly Borat is, he's happy to be seen as a strong man, and he's got all the wrong ideas, right? But how do you mean?
So take the Southern guys that had him, if they are in fact real Southern guys that had him in the house, like they were being good sports, and the film kind of showcases that, the fact that despite these people, basically knowing that they're part of a parody,
possibly his nuance.
He's not fooling them the whole time. Like those guys were acting for him. They know who he is by this stage.
Do you reckon?
When they're at the rally, and well, for a start, he's got the band behind him. Who's probably, I'm guessing, a legitimate.
I think a
legitimate Trump rally band, but maybe it's just the power of fame as well. He can come in and people put their politics aside for the sake of being famous in a way, because they're not that different to you and me, and everyone's going to do that.
Okay, those two, those two guys were suspiciously involved in the plot, especially where they were telling the daughter, "You got to do this. They're going to kill him." That seems like dialogue written for them.
I think it was,
but I
also think they were right-wing Trump supporters.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So he's cooperating with them, and they're cooperating with him, and we can all run off into the sunset together, and politics isn't that important. We're making a movie.
The whole premise of it, where, the COVID's breaking out, and he's told that lockdown starts and he has to self-isolate, and he goes up to one and says, well, I don't have anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
So then the idea that he just moves in with them and stays for, what was it, 3 weeks or a month? Or
5 days in reality, apparently.
But so they're like, they have to be in on it, because how else do you explain away he has nowhere to stay, yet he has a film crew following him and he's going to stay for a number of days? Like... The actual practicality of that situation, is the film crew staying with them as well? What's going on there?
Do you think there was any real hospitality involved in that, or is it just about cash? What do you think is happening?
Yeah, that one I'm sketchy on that one. It seems sus. Apparently, he has said himself that he spent 5 days there in character, and it was difficult to wake up as Borat and do the whole 5 days as Borat.
But these are guys with the internet, knowing, looking up Borat, they've worked this out, who he is.
Well, apparently he didn't say he was Borat, did he, to them? That one, that's all very...
That's a stretch,
that's fudgy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mind you, it's lockdown... But you've got the internet. Once you've got the internet, all bets are off, really.
Yeah.
But that was one of those scenes where I actually thought, if it were on some level real, he actually showcases the hospitality of these people. And so that's where I think it is interesting, because on one hand, they can be, sort of quite patiently and sympathetically coaching him about how, certain right-wing conspiracy theories or this one, and go it's all right. We'll sort you out. We'll look after you, and then spouting hate, let's chop everyone up.
Yeah,
like the Saudis do
right
at the rally. That they could hold this
even
this
then
dichotomy of this generosity of spirit, where they invite someone into their home and patiently explain their point of view. When he asks, many stupid questions and things, and then still say horrendously hurtful and quite graphically violent things as well. It's
so chop them up like the Saudis do, right?
Right.
I was laughing at that.
Yeah.
We were laughing. Were you laughing when you watched it? So okay, we've got different points of view to the people that were singing that song, but I think they were also laughing in the same spirit that we laugh when we hear it.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. They're not really calling to chop people up.
Yeah. The right-wing dude who organised that event apparently said the people that you see on the film are paid agitators, he said. But then again, possibly he would say that. Yeah.
So they're in a bit of damage control.
He was saying that
because
they sort of knew something was fishy about this.
Well, I just think the person that would view this film and say, "Oh, look, they really want to look how disgusting these people are singing that song," like that, you're just an idiot if you think that that's any different to how normal people behave in a situation.
Well,
and you're laughing at it watching the film, so fuck off.
Right, we know it's a film though.
Yeah, but it's still a parody. We know, like, that guy on stage does not look like a serious guy. There would be people in the audience that know exactly who he is. He's that famous.
Yeah, apparently. Well, he got attacked at that because they clocked him. A few of them. Yeah, so he had to escape in some sort of private ambulance or something.
I guess what would be really interesting to see would be some of the footage that didn't make it to the screen.
Or the making of.
The making of these films would be so much more interesting than the film itself, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've been people. Some websites have tried to contact the people involved, and a lot of them have just said we don't want to talk about it. Those ones, I think, were probably caught with their pants down. But people like the people who organised that rally were saying, they said they were a band from Southern California that were coming to do this thing, and then the filmmakers' security wouldn't let us on stage when we realised something was going wrong. So, they're kind of the real truth behind that is.
But I'm not surprised that, like, the people that that have performed in this film would have received so much hate at the point of from the film that it doesn't surprise me that they would shut everything out at some point.
Yeah.
But I would be really interested to hear from some of them as well and.
Did you
what
hear
their
about
process was?
Apart from, we know what Giuliani has said, right?
Yeah, is it time?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's it's the money shot, isn't it? As it were, almost.
I've got a theory about this. I think they secured that Giuliani footage fairly early in the shooting, and then maybe built a lot of the story around that afterwards.
Yeah, probably
because it would have been too risky to. Things fell through. I think if he had have been able to get
Pence,
the film would have been quite different.
That there was a Trump impersonator at a Pence rally in February in the news, and nobody mentioned who it was, which is a good way to. I can't believe that they kept that quiet. But that was
him. That was that scene.
Well,
that was
when
funny.
he was carrying the woman.
That was so funny.
Great disguise, though.
It was so good.
Yeah. He said he had to spend like 5 hours in the toilets there because he got in early and this kind of thing. Like, I guess they must have filmed the KKK scene early, and then he sort of disappeared to avoid suspicion. But
I mean, that's ballsy.
Yeah,
good on him. Like he's.
But they wouldn't have expected Giuliani to go for his schlonger, would they? I mean, that's almost lucky.
He was tucking his shirt in.
Do you think? His hand was further down than
we. I'll tell you, Bryony and I watched that sequence, much to my because we discussed it straight afterwards.
Oh no! Do you watch it before you watch the film?
No.
Oh, okay.
We went back and rewatched that because we disagreed a bit.
Go on.
We checked for edit points.
Okay.
Tried to work out what was shot when. Was there a sequence going on?
Nice.
So there's a sequence where she leaves the room and where Borat is. He's come back in, and they leave and seem to go near the front door and talk to each other. My theory is that was shot afterwards, not with Giuliani in the room.
Okay.
Because it kind of makes Giuliani kind of look stupid. That
sure, he's not hanging around.
Yeah, he's not hanging around if those two are, he's always going to be listening in.
Yes, yeah.
So, but I think our area of disagreement was, what was it? I can't even remember what our disagreement was. Or potentially, well, yeah.
Well,
how inappropriate was he being?
Was there another cameraman in the room, and we couldn't.
We think no.
Because the camera angle changes. So it's shot, the interview itself is shot from two angles.
Yeah.
And neither of those angles can you see like a person with a tripod set up.
There were hidden cameras apparently in the bedroom.
Yeah, so
they're alone there.
So yeah, I just thought maybe there was one set up on a tripod or something. But then, because it's continuous, sort of it seems like the conversation
it's pretty
is
well
continuous.
edited.
Yeah. And then, because I was saying he was seedy because he asked for her phone number and address.
But we kind of both agreed that he wasn't seedy for touching her on the side.
It wasn't ass, was it?
Or putting
his
back. It was just on her back.
And the fact that she'd been touching him multiple times on the leg while she was interviewing with no one there, and that she'd invited him into the bedroom and was, quite close to him, that would be seen as an advance by any man that I know, despite the age difference. And then, so then the only thing we see physically from him is to touch her waist at one point.
Sure.
And then as he's tucking his shirt in, maybe have his hand down there, but you're not seeing him tug off or anything. You're just, he's just feeling down there to
he's probably checking.
He's checking.
If this is going to go on, am I able to?
Have I even got this in me anymore? Because this hasn't happened for a while.
Is there wood on the horizon or
I think
not?
if you go back and watch it again, it starts. I think the hype about it actually tells more of the story. I feel like he behaved seedily.
Yeah.
And professionally, it's just stupid.
Sure.
To step into a bedroom with another woman.
Yeah.
Like it's just dumb
on
his part. But in terms of, did he do anything that sort of was really, really, really inappropriate?
Because
I think it's edited to try and make it look that way. And
his actions were as inappropriate as her actions were.
Well,
but I enjoyed watching it.
I don't know.
Because it's Rudy fucking Giuliani.
Why is it okay for her to touch his leg multiple times?
Mm-hmm.
She's a professional too, apparently. As a reporter.
But he can't touch her waist for half a second. Why is it okay for a woman to physically touch a man multiple times, whereas if he touched her leg multiple times, it wouldn't be okay?
Yeah, I mean that's a historical issue, isn't it? We're not. I wouldn't expect to get away with that, but I don't care if a woman does that to me. You know what I mean? And you probably the same, Roly? No.
Well, yeah, I think it also in this situation, she even within the boundaries of the film, she comes across as the instigator. It's entrapment, but it's good to watch. It's positive to watch because it's someone that you don't like.
Yeah,
it's Rudy Giuliani. And you're catching him out by, you're playing a trick on an old man.
But because this is made now, and none of the shit, he's talking about eating bats with her, and yes, the Chinese have done this to spread the disease and ruin the world's economy. All that shit.
Oh, that's completely
2006. That would have been the big news. Now it's just fucking Trump's doing that all the time. Giuliani's doing it. Everybody in that administration talks that shit. But now, even a hand down the pants isn't. So, I agree with you. I don't think he was doing anything because they wanted that to run on. I think they wanted him to get his dick out. They would have blurred it. They would have had him, jacking off in front of her.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted. But I didn't go that far, so let's just cut it here.
Well, apparently, the story, according to those guys, is Borat came in, because he was watching in the room next door and he began to get worried about his co-star.
Oh, come on. No.
And then came in. I mean, this is the official story.
I don't think.
It's she
says, well, I never felt threatened in that situation. I knew the crew were next door.
Yeah.
It was all fine.
No, I think they would have loved it if he got his cock
and
out.
all they've said about Giuliani is he did what he did. Well, that's like saying nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't, the point where because I think the seediest thing that, and what we actually discussed after watching it was that he asked for her phone number and address.
And address, weird. Was it email
that was
address
weird,
or address?
But when
he says address.
But when you look back at it, you realise, that was kind of you're not seeing his mouth move at that point. I don't
There's
think
an edit.
There's an edit
You
point.
don't know what's
so you don't
happened
know
just
what's happened before.
beforehand.
It's like she might have said, "Oh, how would you send me that transcript?"
Yeah, okay.
And he said, "Well, you send me your phone number or your address."
Possible,
It's a really simple
there's
fix-up.
quite like when you go back and watch it again, you can see the edit and you go, oh, well, yeah, we actually don't know what came just before he says that.
Yeah.
So I think...
Well, it's them getting a bit of, like
I think
you're
he's
saying, the fake
behaved
news.
badly. Yeah. I don't think he's behaved criminally.
Yeah, it's completely fake news, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. Let me just... I've just got one more thing to say. This was I started to watch this again, and then my bloody internet stopped or something. I don't know what's going on.
Mine did that the other day.
Said,
Aussie broadband?
No, it's something. But it was the Prime that said it won't play anymore for you now. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll try it again. No, it won't do it.
Ooh.
But just before that happened, one of the... I don't know if you remember this line, when he's leaving his village and he's saying, "I got to America," and everyone says, "Fucking get out of here. We don't want you here anymore." And one old lady says, "May all your shits have antlers."
I saw that. Yes, I do remember
That
that.
made me laugh.
That was quite good. That's the best line.
Is that what you wanted to bring up?
Yeah,
right
that's
at
all.
the end?
That's all I wanted to bring up. No, hang on. I've got some more notes.
Well, what's your take on the whole parody of the way Kazakhstan
That's my last
treats...
line, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Treats their... Like the whole book for daughters.
Yeah.
The fact that,
He doesn't-
they live in a cage.
He doesn't take his foot off their back, does he? I mean...
It's... Even the little motif of the Melania Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Like, it's constant and about how, she hopes to live in a golden cage like Melania.
I mean, this probably was brought up in 2006, but what have the Kazakhs done to piss him off? I mean, are we allowed to laugh at this? These Kazakh pricks are getting...
Yeah, well, I don't know enough about the internal politics and culture of the country to comment. So I feel, which makes me feel
it's
kind of bad.
It's clearly not that bad, is it?
Like those parts of the film aren't that funny to me either, because it just seems meaningless. But
like, what do Kazakhstani people have to do with running the prison camps in World War II? Did they? I mean, is that a historical thing?
Is he encouraging us to look into this
Maybe,
more?
maybe.
Maybe we should have asked Google before this podcast. But no, it's a good point.
But if he made Borat, I don't know, a Chinese dude or an Indian dude, for example, there'd be hell to pay, wouldn't there? Is it because the Kazakhs don't have enough agency to be able to complain long and hard?
I'm saying he's a bully.
The first,
He's a bully.
The first Borat, I almost thought that, like, oh, maybe I'm mistaken. Like, maybe there's not actually a country called Kazakhstan.
Okay.
Maybe it's just, it's really similar.
Yeah.
To, like, I thought maybe it might have been a gibberish play on a real...
Which is
Middle
sensible
Eastern
to
sounding...
think,
because it just seemed outrageous to actually pick
a real country.
A real country.
Yeah.
But perhaps because if he had picked India, then like you say, the uproar because enough people sort of feel like they know about India and the population, and maybe Kazakhstan is just obscure enough.
Yeah, for now
that he can get away with it.
We probably shouldn't feel too bad, because I'm pretty sure they don't know too much about our little corner of the world either. Especially Perth, Western Australia.
The Kazakhs?
Not that we're a country, yes.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
But, we would be pretty obscure to a lot of the world here.
Yeah, that's
also.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if his commentary is just the way, like, Kazakhs in particular treat women, or if it's just like a parody of the Middle East in general,
Central Asian countries. Yeah, I mean, if it was Middle East, he'd be fucked by now, wouldn't he?
Or sorry, that's my poor
he'd have
geography coming to the fore there.
He would have many fatwas, I reckon, if he pinned Borat as, I don't know, a Iraqi or something like that, wouldn't he?
Or an Arab or something.
Yeah. He's got away with it again, I guess. But it probably because people aren't looking at that angle. They're more looking at what he's saying about the US rather than, that he is a stereotype and a pretty broad one at that, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe the commentary is like, we think that, all those Stan countries over there treat women this way. And then he often makes comments in America about those sorts of things, and no one bats an eye.
Right, so
maybe that's the commentary, like, you're actually no different from these people you vilify over there.
Sure.
Like, America is not the home of the free because you didn't bat an eyelid when I said I'm buying a cage for my daughter.
And how many gypsies would I be able to kill with this gas canister?
Or
that kind
can
of
you
thing.
just hammer the lid back on, please?
Yeah, and he's like, sure. Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
This is, there is a bit of credibility problem with many parts of this film.
Yep. Yeah.
So maybe that's why he's picked an obscure...
Safe.
I don't know.
A safe bet,
know.
I think,
I don't know. But it still made me laugh.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't say that.
Can we expect a Borat 3 in the coming years? Because, what's going to happen with this?
I'd prefer to see him do something different.
Yeah. He's doing
I prefer to see him do China.
He can't. He can't do that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And do I dare say, is him dressing up and sort of taking on the accent of another person, like is it all that different from something like Chris Lilly has been
cultural
vilified
appropriation?
Well, that's the thing.
In the name of humour.
Sure.
I've tried to pick a...
I totally think it's very...
Yeah, so what... But no one
very
seems
much
to be...
along those lines. No, not for now.
mentioning that aspect of it.
That's it.
They're mentioning all sorts of other things, but, if that was like full blackface...
Yeah.
That would not be cool.
I think it's because it's not new. And they're like, we've talked about this before. And is Kazakhstan going to make that much of a deal about it? Not so, I think so. They're even using his catchphrase in their tourism ads apparently now. So you remember that catchphrase?
It's nice.
That's the one.
I forgot that one. Someone said that earlier.
Yeah. Your sister mentioned it. Someone had travelled there and apparently everyone said, it's nice.
Right. So maybe they're being good sports about it. Yeah. So as this is... To final word, as this is landed just before the election in the US, what's your tips
for the election?
Yeah, and also Melbourne Cup tomorrow. If anyone's got a tip for me. No, okay, let's go for the election one then.
Total anticlimax.
Anticlimax.
The election.
Which way?
Biden by a reasonable enough majority for. Trump to not admit any kind of defeat, but basically get out of there
walk away
and move to Russia.
Okay, right, Bryony.
I can't even.
You're not going to put your money on it?
Every time I say something when I feel like it should be so obvious, like with our own elections and things like that, I'm like, oh, yes, it's just too obvious. They've stuffed this, that, and this up, and, and then every time I'm wrong and I'm just left there on election night going, I don't understand.
Sure.
I'm going to look like such an idiot next week.
Well, I always consider moving to New Zealand or Canada after our elections generally.
Yeah, New Zealand's all right, yeah.
What's your tip, Shady?
Oh, it's Trump all the way, man. Yeah, they haven't learnt anything. Sorry. You've gone Biden, I've gone Trump. Bryony's on the fence, which is fine.
Well, I'm scared because apparently his campaign likening Biden, Trump's campaign likening Biden to a socialist dictator
Mm-hmm.
is playing out very successfully.
Getting some traction, isn't it? Yeah.
With people who've come from dictatorship countries, like Hispanic
Yeah.
vote, which you would, yeah.
It's dangerous. Our brains are, only big enough to store those 5 conversations or so that we've had with people from different countries, walks of life, and our whole basis on what we think is going to happen next is kind of just an amalgamation of these very minor conversations. We haven't really got the data to make sense of. But
no.
But if we each guess 3 separate things, then chances are one of us will be right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So it's Democrat, it's Republican, or
Open warfare.
open warfare.
Or just totally unpredictable.
Yeah, true. So can we all sort of agree that something's going to happen on Wednesday?
I think something's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, let's leave it at that. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tonight.
That was fun. Thank you, Shady.
No worries. See you again, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm here to give my daughter as a gift to someone close to the throne.
I need a dress with real sexy peels.
This is a bag that just goes over the dress.
They're nice.
I really like this.